Hello, this is Russ Goslin, and I'm back with another model that I've been working on. I'll be honest, this model I acquired is from Italeri. It's a Panther A, and I purchased this on eBay maybe 2-3 years ago, and it was just a lot kit. Came with, it had already been started and had been painted. You can see where the engine, this is the original builder, had painted it, and it had sometimes I like to build kits that have been started and never finished. I always I guess I have a heart that feels for the model kits that never get quite finished. Ends up just being thrown out, becomes like a misfit kit that gets neglected, and yeah, I got a soft spot for that kind of stuff. So I said, hey, it comes with some photo-etch, came with some resin stuff, and the owner just never finished it, or maybe the person gave up model building or passed away, or somebody else just went off and sold it. So I was glad that it was on the market through eBay, and I purchased it. And what I did is I wanted to kind of soup it up. I was at my local club in New England. They had a contest, and the vendors were selling some, this is a Cavaliers Zimmerit. It's specifically designed for the Dragon Panther. But I think a lot of these aftermarket kits, you can fiddle with it and you can make it fit to another type tank of the same kind, different manufacturer, of course. And in this case, I slapped it on a Italeri Panther, and for the most part, it worked. But it did come with a few details. In some cases, if you look at the turret, right in here, there's a gap. And thankfully, you use some milliput putty, and you can fill it in. On this side, definitely, try to get this turret off, and it does not want to cooperate. But obviously, there's a huge gap here, and I just took some milliput, plopped it in, and took out a straight edge, like from the back of my X-Acto blade, and just continued the design of the Zimmerit pattern, and that worked out fine. And along here, I definitely had some either it was short or too long. I just took my X-Acto blade and just cut and trimmed it right to size, and for the most part, I'm very impressed with how that turned out. It worked. It was my first time using Cavalier, and I like it. I got a little bit of a crack here. I might have to fill that in. What I like about it is that the texture is pretty nice. It's got a lot of chipping of the Zimmerit, which is different if you I've used photo-etch from Eduard Zimmerit, where it's very uniform, it's very tight. If you look at the reference pictures that are available in books and online, the Zimmerit really went through a lot. It would chip and break and crack, and then you show the red primer would come through. So Cavalier is okay. I'm okay with it. So that was pretty impressive. What else happened? The original builder had put in model railroad screening, and I just didn't like it. Not that I haven't used model railroad screen, I have, and it does work, but the gauge or the scale just was a little off. So I had to pull all that off. In the back panel, I don't know if you know, but the Italeri kit, you have two. You can build it with already etched Zimmerit already in the plastic, or it has an alternative set of just straight panels where you can add on Zimmerit. And the person had started it with the Zimmerit already put on, and I didn't like the pattern. It was too uniform and didn't look very accurate in my opinion. So it was already glued, and that just was awful. Luckily, the good old Dremel prevailed, and I was able to cut it right out. A lot of sanding, a lot of filing, and put in the new piece that did not have the Zimmerit. Again, Cavalier always comes with some the stowage containers. These are resin pieces, and these went on pretty well with a little bit of epoxy. 5-minute cure. Works really good with it. I got, again, some photo etch that came with the kit that the person was selling as a lot, so those worked out pretty well. I've just recently acquired a photo etch folding device, which I didn't have this when I started. This is great. It's the Etchmate. I did this all by hand with my little fingers. It passes, but definitely a lot of room for improvement for next time. So the next time I build something photo etch, it's gonna be a lot sharper with the Etchmate. What else can I talk about this kit? The front here, up in the bow, you have this is where their toe, the U-shaped toe bracket will hang, and this is sort of like the front. This was very not very uniform. The molding was quite awful, and so I had to kind of build it up using styrene strips and just trying to get it so that it just looked at least pretty good. And it worked, and I had to do a little puttying and stuff. I still need to add some milliput right here. You can see where some of the cardstock is still showing through. And again, the joints have some nice milliput. It was tricky with this is the for the periscope, or for the driver. Because again, this Cavalier Zimmerit was designed for Dragon kits, not the Italeri. So I had to really fiddle just so it fits just right. I throw in some cardstock so they'll just fit in. Oops, just like so. It should be okay. It'll pass. I took some cardstock and wanted to show the visors in kind of like an up position. Oftentimes with a lot of your kits from the 80s and early 90s, they just leave it as a hollow space and you can see right through it. In this case, you can see right through it. So I wanted to show the visor periscopes going up, so I just threw in some cardstock blocks and sanded it and made it fit. So that works out pretty good. What I do like about the Italeri kit, as opposed to I think the Panther A that Tamiya has, the older kit, it's very hollow here. So Italeri, again, is all ready, sealed up, ready to go. The suspension, I think there's this one wheel. If you can see, I don't know if you can see it, but it's uneven. One of them is really off. So I think I'm going to have to cut it and straighten it out so that's more uniform, because obviously that's going to be an obvious, some crooked. The last thing I want to talk about is I have a little bit of a story that comes with this model kit. When I was moving to the Southwest, my wife and I were worrying about things like jobs and how we're going to move and packing, and obviously model building doesn't take a top priority in that discussion. So what happened was I brought this, and the rest of the parts I left back home in New England in the storage unit. And again, when I was packing my models, I think I may have done something not so good, because the storage unit is not climate controlled, which is a bit of a problem. I didn't really think about it until we were halfway across the country, and I realized, it's going to get really hot in that storage unit. And then when winter comes, it's going to be very, very cold in that storage unit. And so I started thinking about the vinyl tracks and the decals, and whether or not the model kits are going to start to warp. So in next June, my wife and I will be returning to New England to pick up our belongings in the storage unit, and I'm sure I'll be making a video about what what exactly happened to those kits. I have talked to some of my friends in my local IPMS chapter, and most likely the decals probably are not going to survive. Everything else, there's a pretty decent chance that they'll be okay. I'm not too worried about the decals. There's plenty and plenty of manufacturers who make aftermarket decals and dry transfers, so that's not a big deal. Most of my stash, which is a very small, I don't even think I have the dignity to even call it a stash. It's a small collection. I think it all fits in one little storage trunk. A lot of the kits, I didn't pay too much for them, and even if they get all wiped out, it's okay. I can live with it. There will always be another model somewhere. So I just wanted to share with you a little bit of this little project. As you can see, if you haven't noticed from my videos, there is a theme here. I have a lot of these kits, and they're not getting finished in appropriate time. So perhaps some of you out there on YouTube who are tuning in can share with me some of your tips on how to stay with the model, see it through to the end, and let it go. Because as soon as I start working on one, my hands, they go and they want to work on a new kit, and then you have this problem where you have parts that are separated by 2,000 plus miles, and that's not good. Not good for the model. So I wish you all the best in your modeling journeys, and I'll see you again sometime on YouTube. Thanks. This is Russ Goslin signing out. Bye.